Okay, so let's go from the top here. So if anyone doesn't know Zach, he was my sous chef in Toronto at Biff's and Lenya. He was a major influence on me when I was like kind of starting to cook in really good restaurants. He's an amazing chef. I think hopefully everyone knows him. If they don't, this is Zach. Zach, thank you for joining us today.
Sorry?
Okay, so like I said, we're doing steak and potatoes. So I got my potatoes on. They're Yukon Gold, which is the potato I like for mashed potatoes. And I got them in heavily salted water. And I'm starting them from cold water. So whenever you're doing a mashed potato, you want to start it from cold so the potato cooks evenly from the outside in. If you put them in boiling water, they'll the outside of the potato will get overcooked before the inside's done. So you always want to start your potatoes in really cold water. I mean, it's up to go as far as putting it into ice water, literally, and bringing up that ice water. I'm not that fancy. Again, me and Zach both have a ribeye. Mine's a little bit thicker though, Zach.
Yeah, mine's actually thinner.
Yeah.
Mine's going to cook a lot faster.
Yeah. All right, Zach, walk us through what you're doing with your steak there, buddy.
Okay, so what I've done is, so you can buy steak at any store at any time. What I've done is I bought the steak last night, and I have taken it out of the pack, and I just put it on this plate. And so what it does is it kind of air dries it in your fridge. And what you want to find, what you find is if you just unpack a steak and cook it right away, it holds in a lot of that moisture. And then it kind of steams in the pan. So what you're doing is when you take the steak out of the pack, you're kind of air drying it. So you see how it's kind of grayer on one side? And that's just from air drying it in your fridge. And it gives you that really nice crust when you get that hard sear on it. So what I've done is I've air dried it for 24 hours. Oil, salt, and pepper. And you can go really heavy on the salt and pepper.
Yeah, absolutely. So I didn't put pepper on my steak just because mine's quite a bit thicker. I'm worried about my pepper burning, so I'm going to put a little pepper when it comes off. But I've got my steak in kind of medium-high-ish heat. I'm going to go a little lower than Zach because my steak is thicker. So he's gonna rip it pretty hard, eh, Chef?
Yeah, I'm going to go about 2.5, 3 minutes each side.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, I like my steak very rare, medium rare, so I'm really just going to give it a sear, really hard sear on each side, get that nice golden brown, and then take it off and let it rest.
Yeah, are we going to do a butter base today there, Chef?
Butter all the way. Butter and garlic.
Butter and garlic. I've got some thyme, so I'm going to add some thyme. So if you have some fresh thyme, feel free to, when we get to the basting stage, you can baste with fresh thyme or rosemary as well, but we'll get to that in a minute here. So my steak's just like kind of cooking along here. My potatoes are going. Well, I'm going to kind of melt some butter and some cream for my pomme puree or my mashed potatoes. Hey, Zach, I found a piping bag. I'm going to pipe my potatoes all fancy. Ready? Yeah, Dad.
I'm going to start melting my butter for my smashed potatoes.
Yes. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to add a little bit of cream to mine as well.
I'm going to take some of this water out because it's too much water.
So, Zach, what do you think the most important thing is when you're like cooking a steak like this? Do you think it's how, like, if you were explaining to somebody and they were kind of the first time cooking a steak, what would be the thing you would tell them to focus on the most?
I feel like that steak has really good marbling, and like you're trying to search for good marble. In terms of cooking it, since yours is thicker, I mean, if you were uneasy about kind of finishing it in the pan, you could sear it on both sides, and then I would just throw that puppy in there for like 3 to 4 minutes in the oven. That would be like, because then you get like a nice, really perfect medium. Then thick steaks like that, you always want to start off hot on one side, and then when you flip it, you're going to turn it down to like medium. And then that way, if you want to finish in the pan, it's going to cook from that side up. Oh, we forgot to cheers.
Oh, yeah. It's been 2 years since we cooked together, buddy. Cheers.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Okay, so my potatoes are slowly, you can start to see them. They're slowly starting to come up. You can see some of this starch come out of the potato. That's what you want. You want to get rid of that. That starch is what kind of creates that gumminess in a mashed potato. So that foam on top is a really good thing to see. I'm not stirring them or anything. You're kind of just poaching them really, really gently in heavily salted water. Hey, Zach, how do you feel about doing lots of flips on a steak? On a chicken flip. You know, some guys will talk about flipping it once, but on a big guy like this, I kind of like, I'll flip it back and forth a few times. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, personally, like you'll see both ways today. Personally, I'm like a really big flipper. I like to like get a really hard sear and a really hard sear on the second side, and then I'll turn it down and keep flipping it until I like how it like feel. The thin one you'll see today is like I'm just gonna get a really good hard sear for a couple minutes, and then I'll flip it, and then I'll sear it again, and it'll be done.
I'm gonna get a little high here. Yeah, so you can see on my steak that I flipped it. I don't have a lot of color yet, but that was the first flip. So what I'm trying to do is just exactly was kind of getting it tempered, and then we're going to compete all the way through it, and then we're really going to start building the crop.
Got his steak on now?
Oh yeah.
I got my steak on now.
So are you going to butter baste it? Are you going to butter baste it after? Are you going to rest it, put it back in the pan, then butter baste it?
No, what I'll do is I'll sear it on one side with the oil, and I'll let it go like really high.
Yep.
And then I'll flip it. I'll strain some of that oil out, and then I'll start butter basting it.
Nice. And when we go through that, we'll talk about there's quite a technique of basting, and Zach will show us what you're looking for in terms of the foam and the butter. You don't want to go too hot, you'll burn your milk bells, all kinds of stuff like that. So he'll go through that with us, and it's going to be great.
And I got my potatoes cooking over here.
Beautiful. So you're not doing a palm puree, Zach. Can you talk to us about your potatoes?
So at home, now that we're in quarantine, I really don't have a masher. I don't have anything to mash my potatoes with. So what I've done is I've peeled Yukon Golds as well. So I peeled them, cubed them, and I'm gonna cook them to about probably like 90-95%. And then I'm gonna strain them. And what you do is I'll show you. You just melt some butter, and then get a fork. So you strain your potatoes, get your melted butter, and then you just give a quick smash. And then you can add anything into your mashed potatoes. Salt, pepper is a must, obviously, and then lots of fresh herbs, garlic, whatever you kind of want.
I gotta say, I kind of kept going on about your dislike of pepper there, Zach. You keep using a lot of pepper.
I know.
You're proving me a liar. You've changed since I last cooked with you.
I bought a grinder just for you, you know?
Hold on. Okay, hold on here. Oh yeah, getting smoky here. How's your apartment holding up for smoke there, Zach?
It smells like a very big meat house right now. So I realized I got a little too much oil in my pan, so I'm just going to take it out.
Yep. So you can see I flipped my steak once. I flipped it back. You can see that crust is really starting to develop on mine. This thing is still completely rare. And also, I just found out that like when this was butchered, the cap came off. So now I've got like two separate little pieces of steak going on, which is exciting. So that's okay. Now we just have two little separate little meats. Okay, so my potatoes are boiling. I'm going to uncover them and turn them on low. So I'm just going to pull this off because you just want to gently poach it. You want this just kind of steaming. When me and Zach were cooking a dish together, we did the Yukon Gold palm puree, which became the palm aligo that he mentioned. But it was always this running competition. They Zach about like whoever was making the potatoes that day, like who could make the best mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
It was generally you.
And like there was also the competition where we could see how much cheese curd we could put in the potato before it split.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can really start to see in this steak that my crust is really starting to develop nicely. It's still quite raw, but I'm going to start getting into my butter base. Are you close to basting there?
Yeah,
Jeff?
you know what? I'm going to flip my steak, and I'm going to actually do a butter base as well. Because it's
amazing. Okay, so
I've also got a really good crust. And at this point, if you still have the oil in the pan, you could strain the oil out. But obviously I did that already, so what I'm going to do is just a nice salty plop of butter.
Just a little bit of butter, right, Jeff?
Yeah, just a bit of butter.
Yeah.
And then at this point, too, I'd add in my my garlic and my thyme.
So I'm adding my thyme on top of my steak there, Jeff. So I'm basting the thyme with the butter on the steak. I'm not putting my thyme into my butter, so it's kind of it's not going to burn. Oh my God, I'm so happy right now.
Like just the smell alone is really crazy.
Why don't they have television yet?
It's going to be unreal.
Yeah, we're not eating good tonight, there, Zach.
No.
So, what I was talking about before there, Zach, was you see how like we both have a really, really stable foam? That's a lot to do with temperature, right? Like if you're kind of based and your pan isn't hot enough, you won't get that foam, correct?
Yeah, correct. And if your pan is too hot, like you do want that foam, and like you can brown your butter. Brown butter is fine, but as soon as you start burning the butter, it's going to get that really bitter taste of the steak. So what you would do is you just turn your pan down to medium. After you flip your steak, if you want a butter base, like see how my butter is already turning brown?
Yeah.
So you can see the milk solids in it, right?
Yeah. But that flavor is, it's okay to go, like, I'm okay with going quite brown with mine, because I find that nuttiness kind of works with the meat, but there is a very fine line between burned and brown butter.
So that took like literally 5 minutes. I'm going to take my steak off now because it's already cooked.
Yeah. I'm still pretty rare here, so I'm going to keep basting for a little while there, Chef. Smells terrible in our house, though, I'm going to tell you that. Oh, nice crust there, Chef. Really nice crust.
So my potatoes probably still need about 3 minutes here. I can go into my pan sauce if you want, or if you want me, I can wait.
Let's just do our pan sauce together.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, I talked about this a lot, but like, in an ideal world, you would have had a masher, you would have had thyme, you would have had some stuff, but you weren't going to go to the grocery store just to get that, right? That's not what we're doing right now. Do you have a kind of a recipe or a kind of a go-to pantry user-upper that you could talk about for a minute for people at home?
Like instead of potato?
No, like if you're like just like we've got a couple minutes here, you have like a kind of a recipe or something that like I've got my ramen. That's something that I always have in the thing that I know I can always make. Do you have something like that you've been cooking a lot during the pandemic?
Yeah. I mean, like lately I've been eating a lot of like soups and a lot of like just like I throw any kind of like if I've got peas or corn or any kind of like ground meat even too, and like this actually comes in handy a lot. If you don't have, your famous chicken stock, you get the Knorr powder. Yeah. And I've been eating a lot of like broths with like just rice or noodles, and it fills me up, right? Like it fills me up because I'm constantly a hungry boy. And sometimes I can't get to the grocery store because there's like a 3-hour lineup where we are, right? So, yeah.
Okay, so my steak, I just pulled my steak off as well.
Yeah.
So we can go in on our pan sauce there, Zach, if you want to start breaking
absolutely.
it down. The only thing I'm going to say is I'm going to gently just cover mine with a little bit of foil. Just because mine's a little bit bigger, and I kind of wanted to, I want to get the center cooked a little bit more than you do, I think. So I'm going to cover mine with foil. Okay, Zach, you want to go start going through pan sauce here, babe?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got my aromatics, so my thyme, my garlic. A lot of that is just the brown butter, and since I turned the pan down, it's not too brown. I like it, like it's not burnt, right? It's just brown. So I'm just going to deglaze that with a little bit of red wine.
Okay. Now I poured a little bit more of my butter off, which is fine. I poured it on top of the steak. I've still got some butter and some aromatics left over mine, so I'm going to add.
Okay, so I'm really just cooking the alcohol off, and I'm probably going to reduce it by like, I like a thick red wine sauce. I'm probably going to reduce it by like 80%, 70 to 80%.
Yeah. And it's really, and if you're doing this for the first time at home, really taste this as it's going along. I remember Zach talked about that a lot when we were first cooking with, when we were doing this stuff at Best, when we were making the beef bourguignon, right? You continually taste when you're cooking with wine, and it will hit a point where it no longer tastes like alcohol.
Yeah, like you really don't want that like tanniny, like acidic taste to it. If you taste like that, you really have to.
Zach would be able to know just by looking at it, because you've done this so much. But if you're kind of just starting to do pan sauces and stuff like this, like you can just taste it. Like right now, it's still super, and it just tastes like hot wine, right? But in a little bit, this is going to turn into something pretty magical.
And you can start to see all the like beef fat as well. Like that stuff, that's flavor. Like that's what you want. That's the fond on the bottom of your pan.
Yeah. Yeah, trying to scrape that stuff off the bottom of the pan as much as possible. Is that what you're talking about?
And if your pan's hot enough and you poured red wine into it, like most of it just comes off.
Yeah.
Like there's really none that's sticking to the bottom of my pan.
Yeah. Oh, it's looking beautiful,
like,
Chef.
Mine's still pretty tanniny, like it's still pretty acidic.
Yeah, we can go for a while. It's funny, you can see on the, not funny, but at the edges of mine, it's really starting to almost stir up here, but I still need to reduce mine a little bit more. So it's going to look like there's almost no wine left, really, in a lot of ways, eh?
Yeah, it's called, like it's, you're reducing it to O-sec, so it's like almost dry.
Yep. But that flavor is so concentrated that when we add our butter, that's gonna let it out.
It's gonna let out a bit,
Yeah. So I'm just gonna crack some fresh black pepper on my steak here. And this guy is still got to do some resting, but it's definitely rare, medium rare, big boy. And I just took the garlic that I cooked when I butter basted. I just threw the cloves back in to kind of reinforce that flavor.
Okay, so I'd say my pan sauce is almost there. Like you're always tasting, you're always checking, right? You like the taste of that?
Yeah, my potatoes are about a minute away there, so I'm gonna be.
Yeah, I just strained mine off, so I'll just show how I would finish my sauce.
Yeah.
So I got it to about 80%. And I'm just gonna turn it down to minimum, and just slowly, you don't have to crumble this in your hands. Obviously, I realize I've just done that because all I do is grab butter all day. But you would just take your small cubes of butter and you're just going to cube it in. And Chase did this in an earlier video where he took the sauce off and he's slowly emulsifying the butter. I can't remember what sauce you were making. I think it was a chicken pan sauce, right?
Yeah, it was for the crispy chicken thighs and Brussels sprouts there.
Yeah.
Which I think that has been the most made dish by the people who've watched this. Lori's made it. Kim's made it. Dawson made it.
Laurel made it.
Laurel made it. Yeah, so that was really, really cool to see.
Okay, so I just finished it with, I let it out with the butter. And you see how like kind of like rich and red that is?
Mhm.
And it's got the thyme and the garlic and everything in it. So
Let me see that.
for me, I'm just checking for seasoning just to make sure.
Amazing. Yeah, so I'm kind of in the same boat there. I'm just kind of swirling away here. And I mean, we're cooking French food today, guys, so we're using a little bit of butter. Like, I think I'm at about half-pound butter for this meal so far. Yeah, what is it, the pandemic 19 or COVID-19?
Well, butter's actually so cheap right now. I'm actually really surprised.
Oh my God, it's so good though.
Yeah.
So good. Goodness gracious. I'm actually good for seasoning. You'll find, I don't know if you use that, but I find usually with these pan sauces, there's so much residual salt and pepper and seasoning from cooking your meat that, like, very rarely I kind of have to season it like after myself. So my potatoes are almost there.
Yeah.
You
Mine are
can
actually,
see-
they're strained right now, ready to go.
Okay, you can start going on them, Zach. I'll catch up there.
Okay, so here's my boiled Yukon Gold. And I've just kind of, I've strained off all the water, right? And so I'm just going to take a fork and like, these are 90% done. Okay. And you're just going to slowly smash. And really it's all about like how you want it to go. So I'm just kind of slowly starting to smash a potato. And I like to smash them before the butter because it just gives you like a better, like you don't want to pour too much butter in this and make like a hot soupy mess.
Yeah.
So you just kind of smash them about 80% of the way. And then as soon as you are done smashing to your likeness, so you can actually go a lot further than this. I personally like chunky potatoes.
Yep.
Okay, so once I get like a good kind of what I'm looking for, I'm going to just get some butter. And by some, I mean a lot. So that was at least like 4 tablespoons.
I can hear my mom laughing.
Yeah.
From her house.
Okay, and so the butter kind of like binds it together, and like, you know, this is just like a poor man's mashed potato. And even with smashed potatoes, you don't even need to like take off the skin. Like I remember at Biff's we used to do smashed potato, like nugget potato, just like with the skin on and everything, and it's really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
And then yeah, you just check for seasoning.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna go against everything that I normally do, and I'm gonna add some pepper because it's, you know, your cooking show.
Okay, so I'm in the same boat. I just strained off my potatoes. They're cooked. I'm very happy with them. One tip before I start adding my fat is I just let them steam for kind of 30 to 45 seconds to get that last bit of water off. And that really helps kind of make sure that you're not incorporating any extra water that you need to. That's good there. And I'm going to kind of try to do something a little smoother. So I've got a strainer here. And I'm going to run my potatoes through. So you can see they're coming through really smooth at the bottom there. We used to do this at the restaurant on Tammy, which is basically a strainer, but it's flat, so you can really force stuff through. So this is the poor man's Tammy. We're doing a lot of poor man cooking today, Zach.
Yeah, I'm really liking it though, because like.
How are your smashed potatoes taste, buddy? Oh, it's actually working surprisingly good, man.
I like that. I like the scrape. I like that sound. It's good. Is it? Yeah.
Pardon me?
We would do this when we wouldn't have a ricer or anything, or if someone in service was using every piece of equipment, we would actually do this for service.
Okay, so yeah, we absolutely would. Sorry, I just found 2 pieces of potato that aren't cooked. So I'm gonna get rid of them because, you know, I probably rushed things a little bit. Yeah. So you see how fluffy those are? You scoop those. And then Zach, did we use a spatula or a whisk when you were mixing in our cream and our butter to these potatoes?
spatula all the way. You never want to mix mashed potato. You always want to fold into itself.
Thank you. Okay, so I've got my cream and my butter's melted. I'm going to fold this in, just like Zach said. So you can see how smooth these guys are. This is not quite as fine as we get at the biscuits. The strainer's not quite as fine, but they're pretty close. So I'm just gonna give her a taste. Some salt. Okay, give them another taste here. Now I'm ready to go to plate.
How much butter do you have in those? Those look crazy.
For me?
I said, how much butter do you have in those? Those look crazy. That's a lot of butter.
There's also some cream.
Yeah, that's a lot
I
of
would
butter.
like to thank you very much. Enough butter to make them taste good, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to get them in a piping bag here.
Oh.
Oh, I know. You're so mad right now. This is how we used to do them at Bedford College. And then I'm going to go to plate. Are you ready to plate?
Let's do this.
Let's have a little cheers, though.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for joining me.
Oh, no, wrong phone.
Hey, oh, cheers. Okay.
Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah.
I mean, you got a piping bag. I'm allowed to cheat like just a little bit, right?
Wait, what's he doing? How are you cheating?
No, nothing. No. Keep playing. If this actually works. I don't know. Oh, it didn't work.
Excellent. Perfect. Okay. Really happy with that.
I think that's cheating with the piping bag. I don't know about that.
Yeah, it probably is cheating.
Okay, so I just want to say too that like I cut my meat personally, and it's very important that like when you cut your meat, you always give it a dab, right? All the juices in the blood. You don't want like bloody mashed potatoes, right? It's like a weird, gross thing.
Absolutely. Okay. So this sauce is super rich. So I don't go a ton of this red wine butter sauce. I just kind of glaze the top of my meat. And yeah, this is not a portion that we're going to eat, but if you're eating at a restaurant like Lapinou or something, this would be a better portion, I think.
Yeah.
I wish I had some garnish. That was amazing, buddy.
Yeah, so does yours.
Hey, we both on black
So
plate.
good.
Oh my gosh, look at us. Okay, guys. That was probably more fun for us than you in a lot of ways. But thank you so much for, well, first of all, thank you, Zach, for doing this. This has been awesome. 20th episode, happy to have you here. Thank you guys for sticking around through all of our technical difficulties and all of that. Yeah, go out, get a steak, butter-basted. Eat a pound of butter for dinner. No one's going to see it, right, Zach?
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, just make a steak, make it tasty, make some buttery potatoes, feed the people you love in your life. Zach, I wish I could eat this with you.
I know. We're going to eat it through the phone, as they would say.
Yeah, no, we're definitely going to get back on Zoom and eat this together.
Yeah.
We're gonna eat this meal together, sort of, kind of.
Hey, thank you so much, Jake.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, guys, stay home, stay safe, eat well. Make sure to tag me at Chase Rose or follow me or hashtag Quick with Chase. Go on YouTube, do all that stuff. Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great one.